Yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy Potential Unleashed. We're back with another One Piece chapter review. We got One Piece chapter 1073 titled Miss Buckingham Stussy. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. At least while I was reading it, there was a couple times I may just be really slow, right? I'm not going to sit up here and sugarcoat it. I'm human. But there was some times when I was reading this and I was like, because of different cover page, different things that happened in the story, I'm sitting here like, oh, like in Narika, like, you know how when you're in class, like, you don't understand something and then somebody teaches you a different way and you're like, I get it. Like, that happened to me a lot during this chapter, and we're going to talk about it. Specifically, it has to deal with one of the cover pages, at least for me, right? So we're going to talk about that. But if you guys enjoy regular anime content, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on new. That way, my name is Potential Unleashed, and let's get into the review. So we know in the last chapter that Stussy is a clone and she actually works for Vegapunk, and she ended up eating or taking a bite out of Kaku, right? That man is KO, where Lucci's like, well, what the fluff are you doing? And so he goes and tries to attack Stussy, where she ends up weaving, right? And she ends up taking out some lipstick and putting it on Lucci's neck, where the lipstick contains sea prison stone. So we know that Lucci and Kaku, that they are devil fruit users. So it doesn't make you you can't, it's not that you can't use your devil fruit, but it just makes you insanely weak. And so she ends up putting that on him, and she ends up taking a bite out of him, and Lucci is knocked unconscious. And Zoro just sitting up in here with his sword, so he's like, oh, well, I guess, you know, there was friendly fire, and, you know, so Stussy, she ended up taking out two dangerous opponents, where she was like, yo, if I fought you guys head on, I know how strong you guys are. I'm not stupid enough not to come prepared, and I love that about her. But at least for me, it's a little bit disappointing because, you know, they're wrapped in sea prison stone at this point and they're gone, and it's like, yo, well, you know, I was wondering if we were going to get more interactions, especially, like, I know this is like a mini arc, but especially with Kizaru and somebody else, which we'll talk about a little bit later in this chapter, pulling up, right, with Lucci, Kaku, Kizaru, the Seraphims versus the Straw Hat Emperor crew. I feel like that would have been a really good test to see how strong that they are, but hey, it is what it is. But even after the defeat of Lucci and Kaku, Stussy, she still did not have enough say so, because technically, since the rankings of the Seraphim Order, CP0, well, whoever has like the control switch, and because Lucci ranked higher than Stussy, she was kind of on like his playing field, so she couldn't stop him. And so the different paths of Vegapunk are going down and trying to stop them. Now, I find it funny. Remember, I think it was like, I'm gonna say within the past 5 chapters, that Vegapunk called somebody on the phone and was like, yo, you know, I need you to, you know, come in with a favor. And they were like, I got you. This person was Stussy, right? So that's one of the things I was like, oh, that's who he called. At first I thought he called Smoker. Not gonna lie, that was the person that I thought about, but it is what it is. And so Zoro, he and Brook are going after the Seraphim because they still aren't stopping. They're still trying to take on Vegapunk and go after him. And we know Nami, Usopp, Robin, and a couple other members are there as well. And so he's going after them. And he's like, yo, you look a little bit familiar, right? And so he clashes with Kid Hawk, right? And so he's like, yo, you know, you still have a little bit of humanity in your eyes. So my question is this. Number one, I know that Zoro clashed with Mihawk on the Baratier, right? We all know that episode, I think 24, that was a really defining moment for Zoro, and a lot of people got into One Piece because of that episode. But number two, it's like, yo, like, I wonder if during the times, because we know Zoro lost his eye, I wonder if he clashed or fought with Mihawk at any point during his training. Like, was it just baboons? Like, who all did he fight? And number three, the way that he interacted with not just Kid Hawk but the other Seraphims, I'm generally surprised that Zoro didn't make mention of anything in regards to Lunarian or anything in regards to King, because we know that, you know, he found out what King was, a Lunarian, and, you know, that they fought. And so the fact that they have these people are dark skin, that they have wings, you know, white hair. I'm surprised that Zoro didn't make any mention of this, but he had a little skirmish, you know, clashing with Kid Hawk. That was pretty cool. We know that the Lunarian, well, the Seraphims, that they're just kids, they're not fully developed. So I wonder how strong this Mihawk is, and I wonder if he ended up growing to a full-size adult Mihawk, like if they were the same age, would he be stronger or on the same level in terms of strength? During this time, Edison, he was trying to get the Seraphim under control, and then he was attacked and Sanji came in and saved him. Thought that was dope, and so they finally got the Seraphim under control. Where I find funny where they're like, Stussy, we're leaving the island, so come with us. And Usopp's like, hey, he's like, you can't just keep adding on these people. I find that funny. But we know in the last chapter that Vegapunk and Boney, that they were at that door with the paw print, and so now Vegapunk and Boney, that they're missing, and Vegapunk's nowhere to be on Egghead Island, so maybe he teleported somewhere mysterious. But Luffy's looking for him. He's like, yo, we gotta go, and he's nowhere to be found. We cut to Sphinx, and this is in the new world. It is Whitebeard's hometown, and we get Marco. He's back. He made it there after fighting in Wano, and it's talking about the Marines were here while you weren't here, and they're trying to take Whitebeard's treasure. Where Whitebeard, well, I don't know if he does or doesn't have any, but for what we get from these kids, there wasn't any treasure here, and the Marines are acting like pirates. They're going there, they're threatening kids, putting guns to the old people, their faces, putting guns to kids' faces, and different people are like, oh well, the Marines weren't really being that nice and kind, and everybody's freaking out. Where we see somebody pull up, Weevil goes and he's like, yo, you're attacking my dad's territory. He goes in and starts attacking the Marines, and so I want to make mention that Weevil's here, and he ended up getting, after defeating all those people, we still don't know what his bounty is, but based off of the other warlords' bounties, I think Hancock's like, I don't know exactly Hancock, I think she's 1.7, she might be a little bit lower than that, but we know Jinbei's over 1 billion, Crocodile's over 1 billion, Mihawk's over 3 billion, so Weevil, his bounty's probably over 1 billion, and him doing all of this, protecting Whitebeard's town, was cool and all, but he ended up, after defeating all these Marines, they sent somebody even stronger, and that person they sent was Admiral Greenbull. So Weevil ended up getting taken away. And I want to mention, I don't know why Oda always does this with the Admirals. Whenever they get anything of hype, it's always off screen. So let's say like the battle at Punk Hazard, that was off screen. Akainu pulling up on Blackbeard, and Boney was there, that was off screen. And this, with the stuff with the Fujitora and Greenbull going against the revolutionaries and that stuff, all the Admiral's hype moments is always off screen. And so anytime that they're on screen, they always get put in bad things, like Kizaru putting his hands up with Ben Beckman, and like even in film Red, Shanks kind of bitched him a little bit, right? So I find that I feel bad for the Admirals, I really do. But then the actress Stussy shows up and he's like, Marco, you gotta go after him because they took Weevil, right? And so we know that Stussy was a part of MADS and all of that. She self-proclaimed scientist and whatnot. And in the cover story there was that woman there, and a lot of people speculated it was Stussy, and knowing that she's a clone, and that she was on the former Rocks Pirates, all of that makes sense. And Marco's like, oh well, it's kind that this guy protected Whitebeard's homeland. I do appreciate that, but like, I ain't gonna save him. And she's like, well, you don't really believe that he's Whitebeard or related to Whitebeard, then you should ask Vegapunk. And I'm like, oh shoot, well, he's probably a clone or something along those lines. Then we cut to the Marines. We cut to Kizaru going to Egghead Island, and he's like, yo, I'm giving this tea to this special guest. And he's like, yo, have you ever met Vegapunk before? And he was like, one time long ago, and what's happening now is such a shame. And it's one of the 5 elders, Saint J Garcia Saturn, right? So honestly, in my opinion, I think until they show something to me, I don't really give a fluff about these great elders, right? I don't know how strong they are, but I mean, we know they have like heavy influence in the One Piece verse, but in terms of strength, I ain't fearing them until we see something. But so he's on the move, on the way to Egghead Island. So one of the big wigs that they finally make a move, I want to see what's going to happen when he gets to Egghead Island, and if he is strong, like an admiral or a vice admiral or something, who is he going to fight? And I wonder why he's finally on the move. I think that's interesting. Overall good chapter, with Stussy, her betrayal, and getting the Seraphims under control, learning more about what happened to Weevil, because he was the only warlord that we didn't know what happened to him. We know about Crossgills, about Hancock, about Jinbei, all of them, and so I'm glad that we got to see that, and also that one of the elders are finally making a move. It's pretty interesting. But let me know how you guys feel about this One Piece chapter in the comment section below. This is we're on a break next week, unfortunately, but still gonna be posting a lot of content. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video from it. Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and TikTok is on the screen in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to unleash your potential.